The COYGIG Pod on OTB SPORTS, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Top pocket goal!
It's what dreams are made of.
They are going to the World Cup Finals!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the COYGIG podcast. I'm Kathleen McNamee and I am joined as ever by former Ireland internationals Emma Byrne and captain/columnist Karen Duggan. I had a few tweets today, Karen, asking me were there other people or other titles you were going to add to your name over the course of the year, and I simply responded to say watch this space because you never know.
Well, if you asked me after Wednesday's match against Shells, I would have said retired footballer, retired podcaster, full-time recluse.
I was quite glad that we had a little bit of time between that match and the podcast because I felt like
I wouldn't have showed up.
Oh
I wouldn't have showed up. I hated football. Anyway.
How are you feeling after a couple of days?
I'm not ready to talk about it anyway. Let's go. Let's talk about it.
That's fine.
To be fair, Shells were good and we were very, very bad. So these things happen when that's how you play.
What was your captain's words to the team after a match like that?
Well, we have our first training after the match tonight, so I'm preparing them. They're yet to come.
I just imagine you there with your little speech, all your little notes written down, ready to go.
I don't think I'm quite that put together now. I think you overestimate me.
Well, we will save you the pain of having to talk too much about it, because I do that. Having been with you on the podcast a day or two after you've lost some of those matches, I know the pain that it has put you through. And lucky for you, there is plenty of stuff happening that we can talk about besides.
Thank God, yeah.
We have World Cup jerseys are starting to come out thick and fast. We have the US trip for the Irish team this week. I was at Vera Pauw's press conference on Friday, which is very interesting. And we have some readers' questions or listeners' questions in as well to keep us entertained. And then later on the show, we will have Emma Carroll back with her classic team of the week. No prizes for guessing which Irish person has made it into that team of the week this week. And we will also be looking back at all the games over the weekend. But I suppose just to give a bit of a preview to the games in the US this weekend. First game is on Saturday Irish time, and then the second game is at, I think it's 12:30 Irish time, kind of Monday night into Tuesday morning. So that'll be a lot of fun for those of us that get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. But we have the squad in a bit of fear on Thursday morning? Yeah, after the Bayern Munich game that Katie would not be in it. But of course, we saw her play at the weekend and get that wonderful goal with the foot that she hurt. So not too bad. But we had some questions in about the squad because there are some new faces in there. So first senior call-up for Lewis goalkeepers Sophie Whitehouse, Peamount's Tara O'Hanlon, and Shamrock Rovers' Alana McAvoy. Both O'Hanlon and McAvoy have represented Ireland at under 16 to under 19 levels, whereas Sophie, this is her first time in the Irish setup, and they were saying on Friday that she could have qualified for 6 different countries or something. She has quite a lot of passports going around the place, but she decided to go with Ireland. So yeah, one of the emails I got in that wanted to put to you guys was from Leisha McLaughlin, who says she is a weekly listener and loves the show, which we always like to hear. Saying she was surprised by some of the call-ups. She was surprised particularly at McAvoy and Tara O'Hanlon, as she has been watching her play this season. I think she's been very good. But her question was, what do we think of WNL players being picked over the likes of someone like Izzy Atkinson, who is in the WSL but not getting a whole lot of game time, it has to be said.
Interesting, isn't it?
I think that is a big question, which is better? Is it better to move away and be training at that higher standard, or is it better to stay here and be confident and match sharp? I think it's dependent on the person, how you feel when you're not getting game time. So I don't know, Emma, you probably have a view on it.
I mean, you've got the experience in the league at home in Ireland, but personally, I think I would personally go with somebody who's moved abroad and is training full-time professional training with a high standard of player. Like at West Ham, they've got really good players.
I would for someone who's in the WSL. I'm not sure I would for someone who's in a lower league than that.
No. I'm talking about the top level.
Yeah, so I think
England.
I think Izzy is probably hard done by. But if you were picking someone who's regularly playing, someone like, say, Tara, I obviously train with her. She's very, very dedicated. She's training every day of the week. She's for me, she's the next big thing. So picking her for me isn't a big shock. But not picking Izzy is.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, these girls have gone abroad to try and improve, and they've made a big commitment in that, moving away from home. And I think in general, if you move and you go to a professional setup and you're training with these high quality players day in, day out, you're improving. Absolutely. The game time is a little bit of a problem. I'm sure they've had a conversation, Vera and Izzy, about how much game time she's getting, how she's feeling, etc. But at the end of the day, you're training day in, day out with these players. You're at a high standard. And plus, she came on, she did really well. I think she looks really lively. I think she should be getting more minutes. That's not her fault. I would definitely have included her in this squad. Seeing as we had a drop out as well. Brought Lucy Quinn in. I think Izzy can feel a little bit hard done by. But obviously,
I also think Emily Whelan, I think just because she's in Scotland, she can feel a little bit hard done by. I feel like she's been ignored, but she's scoring goals, and we don't have many people who are scoring goals regularly, week in, week out, even in the Women's National League.
Yeah,
so,
nobody's really talking about Emily, is she? I mean, it's difficult because we get to see.
I mean, she made her debut in 2020. She's 3 years older now. She's stronger. She went to Birmingham. Okay, that didn't work out brilliantly. She's probably too young, but she's scoring for Glasgow. So I think her name should be in the mix somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the girls back home getting that experience as well. Don't get me wrong, but just because you move out of the country, it doesn't mean you should be forgotten about. And there are a couple of players, aren't there, that
there definitely are. That
are definitely not getting thought about, which is insane.
I feel for them, because sometimes I think if they did come back to the Women's National League and people are blowing them up on Twitter and their name is being spoken about, they would be given more of an opportunity. But it's the balance then, like, they're abroad playing professional. They think they've made the right move because that's what they were told to do. But sometimes it just seems to backfire. I don't know.
Yeah, let's push it. The media need to get behind these girls. They need to be showing these games on Irish TV or streams so that we can watch them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult though. But I really believe, and I really encourage girls to move abroad to play professional, because I think it's a huge advantage. Obviously, in some cases they can't do it, but if you do have an opportunity, you should do it. And then obviously it's up to the manager to go and keep an eye on them.
Speaking of managers keeping an eye on them, kind of goes into one of the next requests, which is a little less serious, from @YoYo you on Twitter. So not sure if this is just a North American saying about concentrating on just sports, the game, the match, and nothing else. Will this just be a business trip for the squad, or will they visit the sites in Aston, maybe go knock on Matthew McConaughey's front door and St. Louis sites as well?
What?
I don't think they'll be visiting Matthew McConaughey.
I mean, when we've been, we haven't really done much sightseeing. We did a bit of shopping. That was nice.
Yeah, we walked down the motorway to a shopping centre that one time. That was about the height of it.
But I suppose it probably goes more to like a wider question of, like, for me, I suppose, what does this tour actually signify for the team? Like, are we looking for results? Are we looking to see how players are doing in certain positions and using it as an opportunity to test the waters a little bit, which we know Vera Pauw loves doing?
First game results, second game give people game time, I would say. I don't think there's any point in bringing people out if you're not going to have a serious look at them. I know it's great to have a week of training together, but match situations are how you tell how players will get on against that high standard. So giving people ample game time in the second game, I think, is really important. But in the first game, it'll be setting up how we're going to set up against Australia again, probably just practicing that keeping them at bay.
And how's that going to be, Carol?
It's going to be painful to watch. But, I mean, we have to prepare ourselves for that.
I mean, the Americans love playing against us, don't they? It's a regular thing, really. We still go out there, and it is a great experience. It's just brilliant to go out there. Just the fans are so passionate about football, soccer over there. Sorry, I should say soccer. And it is a great experience for us, but it is, everything now is business. There's no pleasure. It's going to creep up really, really quickly. Every game is really important for Vera to get her team sorted and to find the team that she wants to play in that first game. So obviously it's all about Australia, every single game now leading up to it. It's all about Australia.
Very good. Well, we will have more reaction to those games later on once they actually happen, and we can see how much we want to criticize Vera Pauw's team selection this time around, which seems to be our common thread. Karen's already shaking her head for anyone listening.
We don't criticize.
Podcast.
Questions.
Constructive questioning. The COYGIG podcast on OTB Sports is brought to you by Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. Coming up next, we have our team of the week with Emma Carroll. So now we have our team of the week with the one and only Emma Carroll. I was teasing Emma as I was leaving the office today that I was like, I wonder what name is going to be on your team from the Irish squad. I can't think of anyone who might possibly make it on, and she told me no spoilers. So safe to say, I think I was right in my guess, but I will let you run through your team anyways, Emma.
We'll run through first before we get there. D'Angelo, and I went for 4-4-2 this week. So D'Angelo in goal. Surprisingly enough, Kate and McCabe, Eriksson, Letizier, and Bott at the back. Tankovic and Selim in the centre of midfield with Galton and Manham out wide, and then Kerr and Shaw up front.
Okay.
Do we start with McCabe?
Why D'Angelo?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad choice, but I'd like to know why.
I thought she'd kept Arsenal in the game at 1-0 down, to be honest. I think there was a couple of chances. Maybe Shaw could have had another one as well. There's a couple of chances, and then I just think she made a couple of good saves, and City could have been a bit further ahead had it not been for those saves. So
what do you think about that swap out in such a big game?
Wasn't a strange one, wasn't it?
I don't like it. I mean, I just don't like it. Why do it? Maybe Zinsberger was injured. That's the only thing I can think of. She was struggling a little bit. I mean, it's a massive game. It worked out because they won. But if City had actually gone for it instead of sat off when they scored, there would have been major question marks over that decision.
Big time. Yeah, it was an interesting one.
I think Arnold could have been in with a shout as well for West Ham.
Yeah, because she kind of got them that point, I would say, against Liverpool. Liverpool had probably the more clear-cut chances.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was in with a shout, but we don't want to give them too much praise, anyone from that neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's not. And then obviously McCabe, the whole country and Arsenal fans went into meltdown when she went off the pitch against Bayern Munich, and we were like, oh no, it's happened, she's gone, World Cup in a boot. I mean, and then like 4 days later, and I was actually kind of going, if it's not that serious, maybe it might be good for her to have a little break. She's played quite a bit in the last few weeks, have a little bit of a break and come back. But my God, what a goal.
The goal, yeah. I mean, they thought it was broken. They thought her foot was broken. So you can imagine like major panics. No, this is the worst time. Like Champions League coming up, World Cup obviously more important. But no, she's made of hard stuff. Now we can just wrap her in cotton wool. She's gonna have the worst World Cup ever.
I might have moved her over to the other side just to make space for Blundell. I thought she was good as well for United.
A decent game, yeah.
But I suppose the ball that Katie played that won them the corner that time was from the left back position. So we'll put her anywhere. She was getting play anywhere.
Let's be honest.
We're a bit loose on our technical rules with this team on the best of days. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would have been difficult to choose this 11 actually this week, because there were a lot of kind of stale
Grand
games,
performances.
wasn't
Yeah.
there? It was a little bit stale, wasn't it? Not sure about Zellum either. I thought that was a bit of a poor game as well, to be honest. But
Very hard. The
Galton,
pitch was horrific.
pitch was
Unbelievable.
horrible.
Yeah.
Pitch was horrible. Galton definitely, she was quality. When you needed someone to step up, that was the player. Obviously, McCabe. I think Ericsson's been playing really well. I think she's proven a point, actually, because I think if Millie Bright was fit, she wouldn't be playing. And I think she's just kind of like showing us why she should be playing. Letitia's class. Shaw is, that first half was ridiculous.
She is the best player in the league.
What
Apart
the
from
best
Kim Little.
player in the league.
When Kim Little's not playing, Bunny Shaw is the best player in the league.
It might be one of the best headed goals I've seen in a long time.
It was such good build up. Like that first half from City, I was in awe. And then the second half, I was like, what?
What
Where are
happened?
you going? Why are you sitting back?
Like, why? They were all over. They were like, Arsenal looked so afraid of them. They were just like shocked. They looked like they'd played an important game during the week. And that's exactly how they should have looked. And all City needed to do
Turn the
was,
screw.
and they were just turn the screw, go into another gear, which they could have, because they weren't even like pushing.
No, they were
forward.
cruising it. But yeah.
And then a couple of injuries.
Then
Probably should have made a sub a little bit earlier than that. Brought Rasso on a bit earlier. You know, it was calling out. It was really screaming for a sub, but it's difficult.
Manham popped up, as she has done frequently for Arsenal.
the time.
So I'd have her in as she's made the team of the week, but I think just because of how important she's been, that's fair.
Adam and McCabe have just been almost dragging Arsenal along.
Yeah.
Like even during the week against Byrne, they were probably two of the best players as well. They're just outstanding lately. Like they're, I don't know. Like we've raved about McCabe, but is she like playing in the best form of her life at the moment? Like she's just the last 3-4 games.
It's a little animal.
Unbelievable.
Do you know when she got that yellow card yesterday? I was sitting there. I was like, oh God, geez, she's gonna get sent off. I'm gonna have to her during the week about all these yellow cards. And she's still mouthing off at the ref. I was like, oh no, this is not good. But then when it went into the second half, I was like, that's exactly what Arsenal needed. If they didn't have that little
grit,
I'm not going to say what she is, but if they didn't have her on the pitch, they would have flaked, because they were flaking. And it just seemed to be that little bite in her, the kicking out, the moaning at the ref. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm just saying, like, it kind of did drag them along, as you say, Emma. It did, definitely, absolutely.
I'd prefer if she was getting her yellows for tackles, though, because they're gonna catch up on you eventually. Like, obviously it's okay she's missing the Everton game, probably should be okay, but
maybe it's tactical.
Yeah, not in the 9th
Everton game.
Judging by Eideville's face, I don't think it was.
Definitely not in the 9th minute in a game like that. But when you're up against Chloe Kelly, but yeah,
I mean, yeah,
I wouldn't take it away from her game, but
yeah,
there's a better way to get those yellow cards, I think.
just trying to wind her team up. And there's nothing worse if you feel like your team is, you know, being a bit weak and not in it and not at the races like it does. You end up, I mean, I've got all my yellow cards were for mounting off, to be honest.
Well, Emma, I actually got too many disagreements for that team of the week this week. We won't have you next week because of the international break, but I'm sure you will come up with something spectacular to keep us all entertained all the same. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And now we move on to the fun part of the weekend, which was the games and the results. And I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious where to start in that battle between Arsenal and City, which we were just talking a little bit about with Emma Carroll there. I mean, didn't expect this at all. Thought it was going to be a pretty safe result for City, especially after everything that Arsenal went through during the week. City were unbeaten 14 games heading into Sunday. And I mean, chasing their first league title since 2016. Arsenal obviously had quite a few injuries and like knocks box and just general tiredness after that 2-0 win over Bayern Munich. But I mean, I don't really like the phrase it's a game of two halves, but it does seem kind of accurate for this. In the first half, the City easily should have had 3 or 4 goals and put Arsenal to bed, and I don't think they would have had a comeback.
Yeah, I think the first half is probably the best half of football I've watched from a team in a long time. I really enjoyed watching them. City had so much time and space in midfield. No one was near Hasegawa. I thought that Arsenal really missed Kim Little in there in the first half. But Hemp missed 2 chances that she possibly should have put away.
Or she'll be having nightmares about those 100%, especially.
Yeah, on her good foot. So she'll be really disappointed with them. And Arsenal were dying to get in at halftime 1-0 down, and they did because they kept themselves in the game. And Emma, will you try and explain what happened in the second half to City? Because they were a different team. I don't even think it was Arsenal who got that much better until the first goal.
No, I mean, the first half City started, and I've been saying it for a little while now, City are one of the best footballing teams. They always have been in the league, but they just haven't been able to connect. They're a new team. They've been a new team every single season, to be honest. Yeah. And it's just after Christmas, they seem to connect well. Taylor seemed to have found his team that he wants and he sticks with. It's the most consistent they've been this season with regards to the starting team and the players that are on the pitch. And I think just with Laia Alexandri playing left back, she just does exactly what he needs in effect. Like, she comes into midfield and creates that overload, and she can play in midfield. So she's a midfielder playing left back. And it really works for them. And just in the second half, you know, Pelova for Arsenal started to drift in a little bit. So that kind of counteracted the overflow in midfield. And just City just sat back. Shaw wasn't, you know, the same. She wasn't as aggressive in the first half. And they weren't bringing her in. And big players for City they don't seem to be able to put it to bed, if you know what I mean. Like, Hemp and Kelly are fantastic players. And we were talking about them at the start of the season being the best 2 wide players in the league. They are still up there. But for me, they don't perform when they need them to perform. They just don't do it. And yesterday was a good example. They should have been 3-0 up at halftime and then going for 4 in the second half. But they just dropped off a little bit. Whether it was they were intimidated or whether they just, you know, they weren't getting past, like Hemp, for example. Maritz won a couple of those battles and that was it. She struggled to get back in the game. So it's just about those match winners and about being brutal and knowing how to win and basically to push it over the line. And Arsenal know how to do that, even without Kim Little, who is a big, huge loss for them. They know how to get back in the game and they know how to finish things off. And in the end, they deserved it. And City can be really disappointed with that because that was a massive opportunity for them. And we spoke about that. We've already had this conversation about City, haven't we? About playing against United, playing against Villa. They just don't have that killer instinct. And
I think it's interesting you say that as well, because Gareth Taylor said after the game, the first half was some of the best stuff we've played. We should have had more than the 1-0 at halftime. But we said if 1-0 has to be enough, then make it be enough. And I was like, that's a strange thing to say. Like, it's one thing if you've ground out a 1-0 win and it's been a really, really tight battle for the entire thing. But like, City were well on top, and he should not have been satisfied coming in after that half that they were only 1-0 up, or that team only had 1 goal in them.
I mean, that basically he's saying if we're going to win 1-0, if we're 1-0 up, then we have to be able to maintain that 1-0 lead, which means defensively, basically. But they should have been going for it because they had them on the ropes, absolutely on the ropes. And it's just little mistakes again. I mean, Ellie, I don't know if Ellie Roebuck organises her corner, but if I were in goal and Arsenal had 2 on the ball and Kate McCabe is coming in off her left foot, it's going to be
like recognize the players that are out there. Yeah, recognize the players that are out there. If it's 2 right footers out there, maybe you just put one and they can slow them down. But Katie coming in on her left, and she got into the box. It wasn't just like
And in a 2v1, like she's going to get into the box and she's going to get in a goal scoring position, and you do not want her taking a shot from that position, especially when you have traffic in the area. It's really difficult to follow the ball, to get to the ball. So that was their mistake. That was a big mistake. But it was more than that. They weren't able to kill the game off when they should have been going for it. And those silly mistakes, can't make those. You have to hit the target. Champions League is a great example of that. If you don't score in those, you're losing all the time. It doesn't matter if you're playing Lyon, PSG, if you're playing Bayern Munich, you're going to lose. You have to take your chances.
Real Madrid, if you're City.
Real Madrid, well, they should have learned from that, shouldn't they? But yeah, this standard, the league the way it is now, you have to take those chances. You don't get away with it anymore.
Well, arguably the international break is probably coming at all right time for Arsenal in terms of those big matches between the league and the Champions League, and also Caitlin Ford going off after 36 minutes and Kim Little out for a little bit as well with her injury. So they'll be happy enough to take the week or two to kind of get the team back together. I think their first match back is the semi-final against Wolfsburg as well. They don't go into the league, so it's going to be an interesting run-in for them over the next couple of weeks. Looking elsewhere, we had Brighton 0, Man United 4. This now, Brighton due to have 2 games in hand, but this result did put them in the relegation zone. First time Leicester haven't been there since pretty much the start of the season, which is a testament to what they've actually been managing to do over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, still no manager at Brighton, can't stop conceding, and relegation is a real worry for them now. United just kind of doing their routine thing at this stage. I feel like they've lost a little bit of the spark or maybe or something that they had earlier parts of the season, and I don't know, do they feel like they're kind of on the back foot with the title race, even though technically with the way results have been going, it could go anywhere.
I mean, if they've lost their spark, there's something wrong with these girls, honestly. Yeah, they're in a great position to win the league, but it did look like that. I'm looking at the game and I'm thinking, this is so strange for me. At this time in the season, I would have been like an absolute lunatic on the pitch. Like, if they look like they're a little bit lackluster, they're a bit slow, we're playing against Brighton, they should be hammering them, they should be keeping the momentum going, they should be building on it, they should be finishing the season so strong, considering what's happened to them over the last 2 seasons, because it can still happen to them. Like, they're at the top of the league, but they could still end up 4th, like, easily. So for me, it's a little bit strange to see that again. You're talking about a team without that experience of going and being absolutely lethal, being horrible, finishing off games. I know it sounds a bit strange because they won 4-0 in the end, but
that's the thing. Like, if you look at the result, you would think it was kind of comfortable for them, and it was comfortable, but
but they have more in the tank. It was
comfortable,
but that's because it was bad conditions and Brighton were very poor. But
it was 1-0 up until the 65th or 66th minute. And
similar last week, they didn't get going until the second half, and they won 4-0 last week. But you can't afford to be lackluster in the first half when it comes to when they have to play Arsenal. That's a crucial game for them. And
you know what? Like, it's not even about, it doesn't matter, they still won 4-0. No, mentally, you want to be playing against the opposition. If Arsenal are watching this game, they're like, we're not really worried about United. I think we can beat them. But if United went out there and absolutely destroyed them and playing how they should be playing, mentally you've won a battle before you even play the big teams like Arsenal and City. And
it was like when Chelsea were putting 9 past people last season. It's a statement.
Yeah, statement.
Karen, where do you feel like United are at in this run? And I know Emma said that the team should really be showing it. Some players are. I mean, like Leah Galton in particular had a good match, I thought. So there are still some players in there, but
and Garcia came on and got her goal as she does.
Super sub Garcia.
I'm less confident after seeing how good City can be. City let the Arsenal game slip by them. Arsenal have proven that they can beat the likes of City even when they're not playing well, and Chelsea keep winning. So they're top of the league, so like the hope is there, but based on the levels that the teams are reaching in terms of their performance, like the other teams would instill more excitement in you than what United are at the moment. It's like, is it a good result that City lost that game for United just to have someone kind of dropping off in terms of the points race? But I don't think City will lose again. They're so
Blow a
good.
bit of smoke up them.
I think so. I don't know. Fingers are crossed, but
it's kind of hard because apart from City going into this weekend, who are obviously on that 14-game unbeaten run, everyone else had kind of had a bit of a slip, and you wouldn't really put it past anyone. And if there was a team that was going to go on a run, I kind of thought it might have been City because that's where they were already at. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting final few weeks, and I'm glad for it because it makes life far more entertaining.
It is. It's actually so exciting. Like the title race is really, really exciting this year.
And the fact you have Chelsea and Arsenal in the Champions League as well. Chelsea also have the FA Cup. Aston Villa they play, isn't it, in the next round?
Yeah, and United at Brighton.
I wonder if it has anything to do for United. I wonder if it has anything to do with players not committing in their contracts. It sounds a bit strange, but I know there are definitely two big players that are probably going to move on from United. And I just wonder, is there anything there to do with that?
I mean, as in they wouldn't be gutted if they didn't make Champions League.
No, it's like if you've coming towards the end of your season, they're not going to be there next season. Like, do you have that passion to try and get over the line?
No, but do you not also say individually, I want to put in the best I can to get the best contract?
We do, Caro. The rich do.
But
I don't know what they think, but it's just when I'm watching them play, I'm like, why are you not going in for that tackle? Why are you not like being more direct? Like, you look like you're slowing the game down. You should be trying to just little things, I don't know.
I think there's any
name names.
Any World Cup fear, having seen the amount of ACLs and injuries in general this season?
You can't play with fear. If you kind of pull out with tackles and stuff, you're more likely to get injured, I think. So
yeah,
I thought so.
I don't think so. I think it's, I don't know, it's a bit strange. I think we're just made of different things. Like, we're just made up of different things. We'd be just trying to push it. At Arsenal, it didn't matter who we were playing. It didn't matter if we'd already won the league, to be honest, which we had done sometimes weeks before. We would still want to, go out and play the best football and play rapid passing and try and score as many as we can. And maybe they are, but they just look a little bit tired, a little bit demotivated, which doesn't make sense at this time.
Let's just say it was the pitch, and they'll be brilliant when they come back after the international break.
All right, it was
pitch.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy, Karen. You had a bad week last week, so we'll let you have it. Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 3. First time Aston Villa had not lost or failed to score since January 26th, so been quite a run for them.
It was a poor game, wasn't it? It was Villa. I felt a bit bad for Villa because after the game I was like, oh, this is poor from Villa, but actually looking back on it, they did have chances, and realistically what Villa do is they score their chances. That's how they are where they are. They're very, very good. They're very clinical, and they didn't. I thought it was the first game I actually said Dali is having a bad game here. She's not playing well. She was giving the ball away, her positioning, her receiving priorities, just little things that she's usually really good at. I'm thinking that she's just having a poor game. Chelsea were very good in the press. And of course, Stanford was playing out of position, just little things that just didn't go their way, really, which is a shame because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Ward and how she sets up and how they play, and I wanted them to do well. But at the end of the day, Chelsea as well, very good at pressing, really good individual players,
Yeah, I thought Stanford in particular playing out of position made a big difference for them. It just didn't.
What did you think of the first goal, though? Because the ball was headed down to, the keeper, but Eriksson bashed into her. Eriksson was also offside. So when the ball was played, Eriksson was offside. Then she bashes into the keeper, and obviously they put it in an open net.
Yeah, for me, I mean, they were offside. I didn't even notice that, but I was just focused on the keeper. It's a foul. She didn't touch the ball. She knocks over the keeper, so it's a foul. I mean, we've seen what should have been fouls on keepers, what shouldn't have been fouls, but this was a definite foul. I mean, and it resulted in a goal. So, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a foul. I mean, nobody agreed with that on the commentary, but I was like, well, that's a foul for me. I'm sorry.
I thought it was blatant. I thought it couldn't have been more blatant, to be honest. And I usually wouldn't give the keeper the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, I'm in the union, and I'm not always in favor of the keeper, but yeah, it was a definite foul, 100%.
Yeah, it's hard to come back from 1-0 against Chelsea then. So
it is, and I mean, Royton's goal was absolutely quality.
Yeah,
I mean, it was quality finish from her. So yeah, it was a little It was a difficult night for Villa, and I hope that they can look at that and say it was a difficult night. Chelsea were very good, and actually we did have chances, and turn it around, because these kind of games can change your season.
Yeah, I think Chelsea probably obviously deserve praise as well. I mean, they played on Thursday as opposed to the Wednesday, and they went extra time and penalties. And
what a game, by the way! What a game! Incredible game.
It was flipping breathless. Like, by the end of it, I was producing the show like on Off the Ball the next morning, and everyone texted me being like, we want to go to bed, we're tired, but this is like such a good game, we want to talk about it in the morning, what do we do? Yeah. Last
second of the game, and not only that, just the build up of the game, what was happening with Lauren James. She got taken off, is she going to play, all this kind of stuff. Last second of the game, Lauren James, I'm like, where's she going? Where are you going with that ball? Like, put it in, you've got 1 second left, pop it back in. And the blatant penalty as well. And you know what, the I can't remember the name of the Lyon player that gave the penalty away. She was always going to give something away. Like, she was so bad at tackling and tracking back. I don't know why they were dragging her back into the box to defend as well. I was like, she's a liability in the box. But what a game. Absolutely brilliant.
No, it was a great round of Champions League matches, I have to say. It had all the sort of jeopardy that you wanted, especially between the Bayern Munich one and then the Chelsea game as well. Down the bottom of the table, we had Leicester 2, Reading 1. Leicester got their winning goal halfway through 12 minutes of injury time. So once again, drama. Leicester had 19 opportunities, whereas Reading had only created 9. And it's the first time, as I said earlier, since September that they are not in the relegation zone. So again,
Reading 2 games in hand, but Leicester were full worth for their win. They controlled the possession, they had chances. And in the 96th minute, Reading gave their Jones space in the box. So you deserve to lose.
No, they did, I have to say.
Keeper should have done better as well. I mean, the ball wasn't going in that fast, and it was pretty central.
Grace. Are you talking about Grace there? I mean, just in general, Reading, I thought it was a poor game from them. They were making basic mistakes. They weren't getting tight enough. And in credit to, to Leicester, I actually would feel a little bit bad for them if they did get relegated, because I think they've been playing really good football since Willie Kirk went in there. And not that I hope anyone goes down, but I hope they stay up, because I think they're improving all the time.
Yeah. If they had been able to get a few more goals, convert some of their possession a bit more earlier in the season, I think we would see them ahead of where Reading are at the moment. But yeah, they might just run out of road, unfortunately, but we'll see. The other two wouldn't inspire confidence. Brighton or Reading wouldn't exactly make you think that it's a done deal that Leicester are going down.
See, this is the thing, like, they just need 1 or 2 more results to go their way, which like isn't totally unheard of or unlikely to happen with the way the other teams are playing. And Brighton don't have a coach at the moment, have been on a downward trajectory. Reading also not playing great. Could happen. Spurs could still go on a complete capitulation. They lost 2-1 to Everton at the weekend.
Spurs want this season to end.
Oh yeah.
More than anyone.
Both the men's club and the women's club.
Everyone, call it off.
The whole place is like, just shut it down, end it here. We don't need that.
They've lost 11 of their last 12. I didn't realize it was that bad, but that's bad.
Yeah, no, it's not a good time for them. And then elsewhere, we also had West Ham 0, Liverpool 0. First points for West Ham since the 5th of February, which I didn't realize that they had lost so many games in between. And they're doing a lot worse in terms of their scoring this season. They haven't scored in 7 games, which is already what they didn't score in all 22 fixtures last season with 5 rounds left to go. So a difficult time for those clubs, but we shall stay tuned to see what happens. Exciting, close ties at the top and the bottom of the table at the moment, which is what we love to see. Would possibly throw up maybe a bit of an argument for 1 down, 2 up, or 2 down for the relegation zone, just to kind of keep things a little bit more interesting and not just have the one team suffering. But we'll save that one for another day. For now, that is it for the show today. We have the US women's national team game against Ireland at the weekend, obviously, and on Tuesday. So we will be bringing some sort of reaction to you from that. But for now, we will bid you adieu. Emma, Karen, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
See you all next week.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.